The morning sun rose over New Hanyang Colony, painting the green fields in golden light. Taeho stood on his porch, drinking coffee from a metal cup. He watched his daughter Soyoung walk between the rows of corn, checking each plant with care. The girl carried a small device that looked like a gardening tool, but it hummed softly as she worked. "The crops look good this season," said Mina, joining her husband on the porch. She wiped dirt from her hands with a cloth. "The soil treatment is working better than we hoped." Taeho nodded. He had been a soldier once, back on Earth. Now he grew food on a distant planet. The change felt good. Dongwoo finished fixing the irrigation system yesterday. "We should have enough water for the whole growing season." Mina smiled. "He is a good worker, quiet, but skilled with machines." Their peaceful morning ended when the sky began to change. Dark shapes appeared above the clouds, growing larger as they came closer. The shapes were ships, but not human ships. These vessels looked like metal insects with too many legs. "Ships," Taeho said quietly, "not ours." Soyoung looked up from the cornfield. She pressed a button on her device and jogged toward the house. Other colonists stopped their work and gathered in the main square. There were about 200 humans in New Hanyang, all farmers, teachers, engineers, and their families. The alien ships landed in the field outside town. Steam rose from the hot metal as the engines cooled. A door opened on the largest ship, and creatures walked out. They stood on two legs like humans, but their skin was gray and their heads were longer. They wore dark uniforms with metal pieces that looked like armor. "Everyone stay calm," Taeho called to the other colonists. "Let me talk to them first." He walked toward the aliens with his hands empty and visible. Mina followed him, carrying her plant analyzer. The device looked like a simple handheld scanner, but it made quiet beeping sounds as she held it. The alien leader stepped forward. When he spoke, a small machine on his belt translated his words into human language. "I am Captain Veltar of the Valtherian Empire. This world now belongs to us. You will surrender your weapons and prepare for relocation." Taeho blinked in surprise. "I think there has been a mistake. We are peaceful farmers. We have no weapons here." Captain Veltar looked around the colony. His large eyes studied the humans and their tools. Every person carried something. The children had small devices for checking plants. The adults held larger tools for working soil and moving water. Even the elderly colonists carried equipment for their daily tasks. "You lie," Veltar said. "Our sensors detect high-energy signatures from your equipment. These are not farming tools." "They are farming tools," Mina said, holding up her plant analyzer. "It measures soil nutrients and plant health." The captain gestured to one of his soldiers. The gray alien pulled out a device that beeped and flashed with lights. He pointed it at Mina's analyzer. "Energy levels are beyond normal ranges," the soldier reported. "This device contains technology more advanced than our military scanners." Mina looked confused. "Of course, it is advanced. How else would we grow food efficiently on an alien world?" More colonists approached, curious about the visitors. Hai-Jin, the school teacher, walked over with a group of children. She carried a device that looked like a simple tablet, but holographic images danced above its surface as she used it to show the children different plant species. "Greetings," Hai-Jin said politely. "Are you here to learn about our agricultural methods?" The Valtherian soldier scanner began beeping rapidly as it detected Hai-Jin's teaching device. "Captain, that unit is generating power levels equivalent to a battleship computer core. It is just a learning tablet," Hai-Jin explained. "The children use it to study botany and environmental science." Young Wu-Jin ran up to the group, excited to see aliens for the first time. Carried a tool that looked like a simple cutting device, but it glowed with a faint blue light. "Are you really from another planet?" the boy asked. "That is amazing." Do you want to see how we prepare fields for planting? Before anyone could stop him, Wu Jin activated his tool and swept it toward a large rock near the landing site. The rock simply disappeared, leaving behind a perfectly smooth hole in the ground where it had been. The Valtharian soldiers jumped backward, reaching for their weapons. Captain Veltar stared at the missing rock, then at the smiling boy who held the cutting tool like it was a toy. "What kind of weapon is that?" Veltar demanded. "It is not a weapon," Wu Jin said, looking confused by the reaction. "It is for clearing stones from fields. My father taught me how to use it safely." Dongwu approached from the workshop, carrying a larger version of the boy's tool. "Wu Jin, remember to check the power setting before you activate it. You use too much energy for such a small rock." The quiet mechanic adjusted a dial on his device and pointed it at a fallen tree trunk. The massive piece of wood separated into perfectly cut lumber boards, stacked neatly on the ground. "There," Dongwu said. "That is the correct setting for construction materials." The Valtharian captain stepped back further. His soldiers raised their weapons, but Veltar held up a hand to stop them. He was beginning to understand that these humans were not ordinary farmers. "Your tools," he said, carefully. "They seem very powerful for simple farming work." Taeho nodded. "Human technology is designed to be efficient. Why use weak tools when strong ones work better? But surely you have separate military equipment for defense." "Defense? Against what?" Swayong asked, walking up to join the conversation. She carried her plant checker, which continued to hum softly. "There are no dangerous animals on this planet, and we have never had visitors before today." Captain Veltar looked around at the peaceful colony. Every human carried tools that his sensors said were more powerful than Valtharian military equipment. Yet they spoke of farming and teaching children as if nothing was unusual. "Show me your defensive systems," he ordered. Taeho looked puzzled. "We have weather monitoring and pest control systems. Will those help you understand our colony better?" He pointed to tall towers around the settlement. They looked like simple communication arrays, but the Valtharian scanners detected massive energy reserves in each structure. "Those are not communication towers," a Valtharian soldier whispered to his captain. "I know," Valterra replied quietly. "The question is whether they know what they really have here." As the day continued, the captain realized these humans genuinely believed they were just peaceful farmers. They had no idea their simple tools could destroy his entire fleet without effort. The thought both amazed and terrified him. What kind? A species built planet-killing technology and used it to grow vegetables. Captain Veltar spent the night in his ship, sending reports to his superiors. He could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the human boy making a rock disappear with a smile. The captain had fought in 12 wars, but he had never seen technology like this used so casually. The next morning, he decided to observe the humans more carefully. He took 2 soldiers and walked into the colony. The humans greeted them with friendly waves and offers of breakfast. Their kindness made everything more confusing. "Would you like to see our school?" asked Hai-Jin, the teacher. She held her tablet device, which still made the Valtharian scanners go crazy with warning signals. "The children are learning about plant growth today." Veltar nodded. He wanted to understand these strange humans better. Maybe watching their children would give him answers. The school was a simple building with large windows. 20 human children sat in a circle around Hai-Jin. They looked excited and happy. Each child held a small version of the teacher's tablet. "Today, we will learn how plants grow in different environments," Hai-Jin announced. She touched her tablet, and suddenly, the room filled with holographic trees, flowers, and grass. The images looked completely real. The children laughed and reached out to touch the holographic plants. One little girl, about 7 years old, raised her hand. "Kichin, can we make the plants grow faster, like we did last week?" "Of course." Sujin, the teacher replied. Everyone, activate your growth stimulators. The children pressed buttons on their tablets. The holographic plants began growing rapidly. Trees stretched toward the ceiling. Flowers bloomed in seconds, and grass spread across the floor. The room became a magical forest in less than a minute. Captain Veltar watched with his mouth open. His scanners showed that the children were manipulating matter at the molecular level. They were creating actual plant life, not just pictures. "This is impossible," whispered one of his soldiers. "They are altering reality itself." "IT is just our plant growth lesson," said little Sujen, looking up at the tall alien. "We learn how to help plants grow better on our farms." Aijin smiled at the captain. "The children enjoy hands-on learning. Would you like to try?" She offered him a tablet. Veltar backed away as if she was holding a bomb. "Okay, that device," he said carefully. "It changes real matter, not just images." "Well, yes," Aijin replied, looking puzzled. "How else would we teach proper plant cultivation? The children need to understand how growth actually works." After the school visit, Veltar walked to the construction area where several humans were building a new storage facility. Ujin was there with his father, a man named Kyung Ho, who worked as a builder. "Watch carefully, son," Kyung Ho said. "The cutting tool must be set to the right depth, or we will damage the foundation." Ujin nodded and activated his device. He drew a straight line through a piece of metal that was 3 feet thick. The metal separated cleanly, with edges so smooth they looked polished. "Good work," his father said. "Now, use the shaping tool to bend these support beams." The boy switched to another device and pointed it at long metal bars. The bars bent in two, perfect curves without any heat or pressure. They simply changed shape as if they were made of soft clay. Veltar's soldier checked his scanner again. "Captain, these tools are manipulating atomic structures. They could reshape our ships like toys." "I know," Veltar replied quietly. "Keep scanning. Need to understand how many of these devices they have." The answer came quickly. Every human in the colony carried multiple tools. Even the elderly colonists had equipment that could cut through starship armor or create complex materials from simple elements. An old woman named Jingsuk walked by, carrying what looked like a simple gardening sprayer. She stopped at a patch of bare ground and activated her device. Seeds flew out and immediately began growing into full-sized vegetable plants. In minutes, she had created a complete garden. "Harvest season came early this year," she said happily to her friend. "My yield accelerator worked better than expected." Captain Veltar sent another urgent message to his fleet commander, Admiral Corvex. He tried to explain what he was seeing, but the words seemed impossible, even to him. "Admiral, the humans have technology that exceeds our understanding. Their children carry devices that can alter matter itself. Their construction tools could dismantle our ships. Their farming equipment could transform entire planets." Admiral Corvex received the message on his flagship, 3 hours away from the colony. He read it twice, then called his science officer. "These reports from Captain Veltar make no sense," the admiral said. "Humans are a young species. They have only been in space for a few hundred years. Perhaps the captain is mistaken," suggested the science officer. "Maybe the human tools only appear more advanced than they really are." "Send 3 more ships to the colony," Admiral Corvex ordered. "If these humans have military technology disguised as farming equipment, we need to show them our strength." Back on the colony, Tejo noticed that the alien captain seemed nervous. The human leader approached Veltar with a concerned expression. "Is something wrong?" Tejo asked. "You look worried." "Your people," Veltar said slowly, "they carry very powerful equipment for simple farmers." "Our tools are efficient," Tejo agreed. "Human engineering focuses on making things work well. Why would we use weak tools when we can make strong ones? But these devices could be used as weapons." Tejo looked genuinely confused. Weapons? Against what? We came here to grow food and build homes. We have no enemies. T species with this technology could conquer the galaxy, Veltar said. Why would we want to conquer anything? Swang asked, joining the conversation. She had been listening while checking her plant growth monitor. We already have everything we need here. Mina walked over from the greenhouse, carrying her soil analyzer. Captain Veltar, you seem upset. Are you concerned about our farming methods? Your farming methods could level mountains, Veltar replied. Well, yes, Mina said, matter-of-factly. Sometimes we need to level mountains to create good farmland. Is that a problem? The captain realized that these humans had no idea how dangerous they appeared to other species. They spoke of reshaping landscapes like it was normal daily work. They gave children tools that could destroy battleships. They treated planet-altering technology like kitchen appliances. Jen-Su, the colony engineer, approached the group carrying a device that looked like a simple wrench. The Valtharian scanners immediately detected energy levels that could power a small city. Teho Jinsu said, I finished upgrading the water purification system. You can now process enough clean water for 1,000 people. Good work, Teho replied. Okay, that will help when more families arrive from Earth. More families, Thal asked weakly. Oh yes, Saoyang said brightly. 3 more colony ships are coming next year. New Hanyang will be much bigger soon. Captain Veltar imagined thousands of humans, all carrying tools that could reshape reality itself. The thought made him feel dizzy. He sent another message to Admiral Corvex. Send more ships immediately. We are not dealing with simple farmers. 3 days later, Admiral Corvex arrived with his battle fleet. 5 large warships landed near the colony, their weapons clearly visible. The admiral was a tall Valtharian with scars across his face from many battles. He wore a uniform covered in metals and carried a weapon at his side. Captain Veltar, the admiral said as he stepped off his ship. Your reports seemed impossible. Show me these dangerous humans. Veltar led his superior toward the colony center. Admiral, you must understand, they do not act like military forces. They truly believe they are just farmers. Farmers do not carry planet-killing weapons, Admiral Corvex replied. I have brought enough ships to handle any threat. As they walked into town, they saw Dongwu working on a large machine near the workshop. The quiet mechanic was using a tool that glowed bright blue. He pointed it at a pile of metal scraps, and they immediately reformed into perfect mechanical parts. What is he doing? The admiral asked. Repairing farm equipment, Veltar answered. He says the machine helps with irrigation. Admiral Corvex watched Dongwu create complex machinery from waste metal. His own engineers needed factories and weeks of work to make similar parts. This human did it in seconds with a handheld device. That is not possible, the admiral whispered. Teho noticed the new ships and walked over to greet the visitors. He smiled and offered his hand in the human custom of shaking hands. Welcome to New Hanyang, Teho said. I am the colony leader. Are you here to establish trade relations? Admiral Corvex stared at the human's friendly face. We are here to assess your military capabilities. We have no military, Teho replied. We are peaceful colonists. Would you like to see our farms? Before the admiral could answer, Jinsu came running from the communications building. His face looked worried. Teho, he called. Long-range sensors are detecting a large fleet approaching. They will arrive in 6 hours. More visitors. Teho asked. This is an exciting week for first contact. Jinsu shook his head. These ships match the design patterns of Zorthok raiders. They are not coming for friendly purposes. Admiral Corvex felt his blood turn cold. The Zorthok were the most feared military force in the known galaxy. They enslaved entire worlds and destroyed anyone who resisted. His 5 ships could not fight, even one Zorthok battleship. How many ships? Veltar asked. 15 large vessels and 30 smaller attack craft, Jinzu replied, checking his scanner. Standard Zorthok invasion force. The admiral grabbed his communication device. All ships, prepare for immediate departure. We cannot face the Zorthok here. Wait, Teho said calmly. You do not need to leave. Our colony has defenses. What defenses? Admiral Corvex demanded. You said you had no military. We do not have military, Mina said, joining the group. She carried her soil analyzer, as always. But we have weather control and pest management systems. The admiral looked around the peaceful farms. Weather control will not stop Zorthok. Battleships. Keiho scratched his head, looking confused by the alien's fear. Kinsu, should we activate the storm prevention grid? Probably a good idea, the engineer replied. We do not want bad weather during the busy season. Jinsu walked to a control panel hidden inside what looked like a simple storage shed. He pressed several buttons, and the tall towers around the colony began to glow with soft light. Admiral Corvex's military scanners immediately went crazy. Energy readings showed power levels that exceeded anything in Valtharian technology. The towers were generating enough energy to power his entire fleet. What are those structures? He asked with a shaking voice. Weather control towers, Yunsu replied. She was the colony's atmospheric engineer, a young woman who managed the air and climate systems. They prevent storms from damaging our crops. Our planetary defense systems, Veltar whispered to his admiral. Each tower has enough power to destroy a city. They control weather, Yunsu insisted, looking puzzled by the alien's reaction. Why would we want to destroy cities? Sui Young walked up to the group, carrying her plant monitoring device. Father, should I prepare the pest control equipment? We have visitors. We want the colony to look its best. It's good thinking, Teho replied. Set it to automatic mode. The girl pressed buttons on her device. Around the colony, small drones emerged from hidden locations. They looked like simple flying robots designed for garden maintenance. Admiral Corvex's scanners detected the drones immediately. Each small machine carried weapon systems more advanced than his best fighters. There were hundreds of them, all controlled by a teenage girl who thought she was preparing for guests. Admiral, Captain Veltar said quietly, we should move our ships behind the colony's defensive perimeter. These humans say they have no weapons, the admiral replied, but he was already giving orders to relocate his fleet. They do not think they have weapons, Veltar explained. To them, these are farming tools. Ki Jen approached with a group of children from the school. Each child carried their learning tablets, which were still generating massive energy signatures. Excuse me, she said politely to Admiral Corvex. The children want to help prepare for the visitors. Should we activate the educational simulators? What do educational simulators do? The Admiral asked nervously. They help children learn about different situations by creating realistic scenarios. Hai-Jin explained. The children can practice problem solving and teamwork. Little Sujin held up her tablet excitedly. We can make pretend battles and figure out the best solutions. It is fun. Admiral Corvex realized that the children's learning games were actually advanced tactical computers. They could probably plan military strategies better than his best. Officers, perhaps the children should stay inside today, he suggested. Why? Wu Jin asked, running up to join his friends. We want to meet the new aliens too. The boy carried his cutting tool, the same device that had made a rock disappear. His father, Kyung Ho, followed behind, carrying a larger construction equipment. The approaching ships belonged to Zorthok raiders, Admiral Corvex explained. They are very dangerous raiders. Teho looked concerned for the first time. They want to steal our crops. They want to enslave your people, Veltar said. That is terrible, Mina said, genuinely shocked. Why would anyone want to hurt farmers? 'Cause some species are evil, the Admiral replied. Dong Wu stopped working and looked up from his machine. Should we ask them to leave peacefully first? The Zorthok do not negotiate, Admiral Korvac said. They only understand force. Taeho sighed, sadly. That is unfortunate. I hoped all species could be reasonable. He turned to Jinsu. Prepare the emergency systems. Set everything to protective mode. Systems, Jinsu asked. Everything except the nursery greenhouse, Taeho replied. We do not want to damage the seedlings. Jinsu nodded and began activating controls throughout the colony. More towers began glowing. Hidden panels opened in the ground, revealing additional equipment. The peaceful farming settlement was transforming into something else entirely. Admiral Korvac watched in amazement as the colony revealed its true nature. These humans had built a fortress that looked like a farm. Their weapons were disguised as agricultural tools. Their defenses were hidden as weather control systems. How long have you been planning this? He asked Taeho. Planning what? The human leader replied, looking genuinely confused. We are just activating our standard safety protocols. The Admiral realized that the humans were not pretending. They really believed this was normal equipment for peaceful colonists. They had no idea they were more dangerous than the entire Zorthok fleet. In space, above the planet, the Zorthok invasion force was approaching fast, expected to find easy prey on a farming world. Instead, they were about to discover why even peaceful humans carried weapons that scared military fleets. The Zorthok fleet arrived exactly when Jinsu predicted. 45 ships dropped out of hyperspace above New Hanyang, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. The largest ship was 3 times bigger than Admiral Korvac's flagship. Commander Zexkar of the Zorthok forces looked down at the planet through his ship's viewing screen. He saw green fields, small buildings, and what appeared to be a few primitive alien vessels hiding behind the settlement. Scan the surface, he ordered his weapons officer. Find the most valuable slaves and prepare capture nets. Sir, sensors show approximately 200 humans and a small Valtharian military presence. No significant defenses detected, Commander. Zexkar smiled, showing sharp teeth. Excellent. The humans will make good workers, and we can ransom the Valtharians back to their empire. Begin the attack. On the ground, Taeho watched the alien fleet through a pair of simple binoculars. Zorthok ships were positioning themselves for orbital bombardment, a standard tactic to frighten planets into surrender. They are not responding to our communication requests, Jinsu reported. I think they plan to attack without talking first. That is very rude, Mina said, genuinely disappointed. We've prepared a welcome dinner. Admiral Korvac could not believe how calm the humans remained. Enemy warships filled the sky above them, and these people were discussing dinner plans. You must evacuate immediately, he told Taeho. My ships can carry some of your people too. Safety. Thank you for the offer, Taeho replied politely. But this is our home. We cannot leave our crops. The first Zorthok attack began with energy beams aimed at the colony's power systems. The beams struck the weather control towers directly, creating brilliant explosions that lit up the sky. When the light faded, the towers stood completely undamaged. Their defensive shields had absorbed the attack energy and converted it into additional power. It's interesting, Yunsu commented, checking her atmospheric readings. The orbital bombardment actually improved our weather control efficiency, Commander. Zexkar stared at his weapons display in confusion. His most powerful guns had made no impact on the target. Fire again, he ordered. Use maximum power. The second attack involved 30 ships firing simultaneously. The energy barrage was enough to crack a moon. It struck the colony like a falling star, creating a dome of white light that covered the entire settlement. Inside the protective barrier, The humans continued their daily activities. Children played in the schoolyard. Farmers tended their plants. The only sign of battle was a slight shimmer in the air above their heads. The shield generators are working well, Jinsu noted with satisfaction. I was worried about power fluctuations, but everything looks stable. Shield generators. Admiral Corvex asked weakly. The weather control system, Jinsu explained. It protects crops from storms, radiation, and other atmospheric problems. Dongwu looked up from his workshop, where he was still repairing farm equipment. Should I activate the irrigation system? All this weapons fire might disturb the soil. Moisture levels. Good idea, Taeho agreed. We do not want the plants to suffer. Dongwu pressed a button on his control panel. Throughout the colony, what looked like water pipes began rising from underground. He pointed toward the sky and started glowing, with the same blue light as his handheld tools. Admiral Corvix's sensors immediately detected the new energy signatures. These were not irrigation pipes. They were kinetic bombardment systems capable of striking targets in orbit with perfect accuracy. Those are planetary defense cannons, Captain Veltar whispered in amazement. They're irrigation pipes, Dongwu corrected. They move water from underground sources to the surface. Very efficient system. In space, Commander Zexkar watched as blue beams rose from the planet's surface. The beams looked harmless at first, like thin lines of light reaching toward his fleet. Primitive laser weapons, his science officer reported. No threat to our ships. The first beam touched a Zorthok fighter craft. The small ship simply ceased to exist. There was no explosion, no debris. It vanished completely, as if it had never been built. What happened? Commander Zexkar demanded. Unknown, sir. The ship just disappeared from all sensors. More blue beams reached into space, each one targeting a different Zorthok vessel. Every ship they touched was instantly destroyed. The beams cut through armor, shields, and weapons like they were made of paper. Retreat to maximum range, the commander ordered, but it was too late. Half his fleet was already gone. On the ground, So-young approached her father with her plant monitoring device. The pest control system is ready. Should I activate it? Yes. Please, Taeho replied. We want to make sure no harmful insects damage our crops. So-young pressed buttons on her device, and the small drones that had emerged earlier began moving toward the sky. They looked like harmless flying robots, but Admiral Korvax's scanners showed they carried more firepower than his best fighter craft. The drones reached the Zorthok fleet in minutes. They moved faster than any military vehicle the Admiral had ever seen. Dancing between enemy weapons fire like they were playing a game. Each drone began targeting specific systems on the Zorthok ships. They did not try to destroy the vessels completely. Instead, they surgically removed weapons, engines, and communication systems, leaving the ships floating helplessly in space. Fascinating, Haijin said, watching the battle through a telescope with her students. The pest control drones are using the same principles we learned in biology class. What principles? Admiral Korvax asked, even though he was afraid to hear the answer. Selective targeting, little Sujin explained happily. You do not kill the whole plant when you remove harmful insects. You just take away the parts that cause problems. The drones are removing the dangerous parts of those ships, Wu Jin added. Just like removing bugs from vegetables. Space. Commander Zexkar found himself commanding a fleet of disabled vessels. His ships could not fight, could not flee, and could barely maintain life support. The human pest control had turned his mighty invasion force into floating scrap metal. Surrender, he broadcast on all frequencies. We surrender. Zaho received the message and looked puzzled. Surrender? What? Did they want to trade something? I want to stop fighting? Admiral Korvax explained. We were fighting, Taeho asked, genuinely surprised. I thought they were just testing our equipment. Na walked over with a plate of fresh vegetables from the greenhouse. Should we invite them for dinner? They must be hungry after their long journey. The admiral stared at the human woman who was offering food to raiders who had tried to enslave her people. She had just watched her colony's defenses destroy the most feared military force in the galaxy, and she was thinking about hospitality. How is this possible? He whispered. How is what possible? Soyoung asked. Growing good vegetables requires proper soil preparation, adequate water, and protection from pests. We just have very good equipment. Admiral Corvex realized that the humans truly did not understand what had just happened. They had defeated the Zorthok fleet using tools they considered normal farming equipment. To them, it was just another day of protecting their crops in space. The surviving Zorthok ships sat powerless while tiny human drones continued their work. The drones were not destroying anything now. Instead, they were repairing life support systems and providing emergency power to prevent the crews from dying, even in victory. The humans were showing mercy to enemies who had planned to enslave them. They fought like gods, but acted like gardeners who had found bugs in their greenhouse. 2 hours after the battle ended, the dining hall of New Hanyang Colony was filled with an unusual gathering. Humans sat around long tables with Valtharian officers and even some rescued Zorthok crew members. The defeated raiders looked confused and frightened as Minna served them fresh bread and vegetable soup. Please eat, she said kindly to a young Zorthok soldier. You must be hungry after your long space journey. The soldier stared at the human woman who was feeding him after his people had tried to destroy her home. Why are you being nice to us? Because you are guests now, Minna replied simply. Hungry guests need food. Admiral Corvex sat next to Teho, still trying to understand what had happened. His military training told him that the humans should be celebrating their victory or demanding surrender terms. Instead, they were serving dinner to everyone. Your people are very strange, the admiral said. How so? Teho asked, passing a bowl of rice. You just defeated the most dangerous military force in the galaxy, and you are having a dinner party. Teho looked genuinely puzzled. What else would we do? Fighting makes people hungry. Commander Zexkar was brought in under guard by 2 of Dongwu's repair drones. The drones had gently but firmly insisted that he join the dinner. The Zorthok leader sat down reluctantly, expecting to be tortured or killed. Instead, Soyoung brought him a plate of food and a cup of tea. Are you the leader of the ships? She asked politely. I am Commander Zexkar of the Zorthak Empire, he replied stiffly. Nice to meet you. I am Soyoung. Why did your people try to hurt our farms? The commander looked at the young human girl who was asking about his invasion plans like she was discussing the weather. We came to take slaves and resources. That is very sad, Soyoung said with genuine sympathy. Do your people not know how to grow their own food? The question surprised Zexkar. In all his years of raiding, no one had ever asked why his people chose conquest over cultivation. We are warriors, he said uncertainly. We take what we need from weaker species. Growing food is much easier than fighting, Soyoung explained. And safer too. Would you like to learn about farming? Admiral Corvex watched this conversation with amazement. The human child was offering to teach agriculture to a species that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. Hai Jin approached the table carrying her teaching tablet. I could prepare some basic lessons about sustainable food production. Many species would benefit from improved farming techniques. You would teach us? Zexkar asked, confusion clear in his voice. Of course, Hai Jin replied. Education should be available to everyone. Ignorance causes many problems in the galaxy. Shidin Su joined the group, carrying a datapad with repair estimates. Commander, your ships need significant work. My engineering teams can fix the life support and basic engines, but the weapon systems are completely destroyed. You are going to repair our ships? Zexkar asked. We cannot leave you stranded in space, Jinsu said, matter-of-factly. That would be cruel. But we attacked you. Yes, and that was wrong. Tai-Ho agreed. But people make mistakes when they do not understand better options. Admiral Corvex leaned forward. I must ask you directly, what are you people really? Your technology is beyond anything we have seen. Your weapons could conquer the entire galaxy. Yet you grow vegetables and teach children. Tai-Ho thought about the question while sipping his tea. We are humans. We grow things, build things, and learn things. Is that unusual? Your farming tools are more powerful than our battleships. Captain Velta pointed out. Why would we use weak tools? Mina asked, joining the conversation. Human engineering philosophy is simple. To make things that work well for their intended purpose. Okay, but your tools could be used to conquer worlds. Admiral Corvex insisted. Why would we want to conquer worlds? Soyoung asked, genuinely confused. We already have a world. We like our world. Dongwu nodded in agreement. Conquering seems very inefficient. It takes much more energy to destroy and control things than to build and grow things. Besides, added Yuan Su, managing one planet's atmosphere and weather is complex enough. Why would anyone want the responsibility of managing hundreds of planets? Commander Zexkar was beginning to understand something that had never occurred to him before. These humans were not weak because they chose peace. They chose peace because they were so strong that violence seemed pointless. Your people have no enemies because no one dares to fight you, he said slowly. We have no enemies because we do not want enemies, Tai-Ho corrected. Why would we want people to hate us? That makes no sense. But surely you have military forces for protection, Admiral Corvex said. Protection? From what? Hai-Jin asked. We have never met hostile aliens before today. What about other human colonies? Do they not have armies? Wu Jin laughed. Why would humans fight other humans? We all share the same knowledge and technology. If one colony needs something, they just ask other colonies for help. You mean all human settlements have technology like this? Veltar asked weakly. More or less, Jinsu replied. Some colonies specialize in different things. Mining worlds have better extraction equipment. Research stations have more advanced laboratories. But basic tools are the same everywhere. Admiral Corvex felt dizzy as he realized the implications. Cage, every human colony in the galaxy was probably as well defended as New Hanyang. The entire human species was essentially an empire of peaceful farmers who could destroy any military force. Without thinking about it, how many human colonies are there? Cast. About 12,000 settled worlds, Tai-Ho answered casually, plus mining stations, research facilities, and deep space habitats. The exact number changes as people establish new settlements. The Admiral's scanner device fell from his hands and clattered on the floor. 12,000 worlds, each one, potentially, more dangerous than the combined military might of every other known species. Do your leaders know how powerful you are? Zexkar asked. Leaders. Soyoung looked confused. We do not have leaders like that. Each colony manages itself. If there are big decisions, we talk to each other and figure out what makes sense. No. Central government, Veltar asked. Government is for people who cannot work together, Mina explained. Humans prefer cooperation to control. But what about military command? Who controls your weapons? These are not weapons, Dongwu said patiently. These are tools. Everyone learns to use tools safely. We do not need special permission to use our own equipment. Admiral Corvex realized he was looking at a species that had evolved beyond the need for traditional power structures. Every human was individually capable of planet-level destruction, but they used that power to grow gardens. What happens now? He asked. What do you want from us? Want from you? Tai-Ho seemed surprised by the question. We want you to be safe and happy. That is what people should want for each other. Will you demand tribute, territory, resources? We have everything we need, Mina said. If you need something, we can probably help you make it yourself. As the evening continued, more conversations developed around the tables. Human children showed Zortok soldiers how to play simple games. Voltharian officers discussed crop rotation techniques with human farmers. Former enemies were learning to see each other as potential friends. Later that night, Admiral Korvex sent a priority message to every military command in the galaxy. The message was simple, but would change interstellar relations forever. All species are advised to approach human settlements with peaceful intentions only. Do not mistake their kindness for weakness. Human civilians carry tools that make our finest weapons look like toys. They prefer friendship to conquest, but they are prepared for anything. Recommend immediate diplomatic contact and cultural exchange programs. These people could teach us much about living in peace. The message ended with a personal note from the Admiral. I have seen farmers defeat a battle fleet using gardening equipment. I have watched children operate technology that could reshape planets. I have been served dinner by people I tried to intimidate. Humanity does not rule the galaxy because they do not want to rule the galaxy. We should all be grateful for their wisdom. As the stars shone down on New Hanyan Colony, humans and aliens worked together to plan a better future. The age of conquest was ending, replaced by an age of cooperation that would spread across the galaxy, one farming colony at a time.